What's up YouTube? Welcome back to MMOSWORLD. We are taking a first impressions look at Fallout 76, your first steps in Fallout 76 after leaving the vault. We'll talk about the gameplay, we'll talk about some systems that it has, and of course address that sort of backlash that the Fallout fans have towards 76. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new character, we're going to run through the vault, and then we'll talk about everything else after we get out of the vault. But before we begin, this is a look at the character creator. Which is pretty basic, really. You can just change your sex, change your body, and face as well using all the hotkeys at the bottom there. So A is just to change your face, and you can pretty much just pick what you want here. There isn't really a lot of slider options that you're kind of familiar with if you play other MMOs. Let's just go with that face, I suppose. No, that one, no. I can't decide. All right, we'll go with that one. Now we can change face as well, so we can keep the hairstyle, and what you can do is just drag what you want to reposition or make bigger or make smaller. So this one is pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and hit accept for face. As for the hair, let's see. Hit ask for style. There we go. Now we can change the style of our hair. We'll go with the Agent X bangs. I kind of like that. And yep, we are now done. So I'm gonna hit enter. Oh, not yet. Let's do body. All right, so here is the sliders that we want for your body. But like, you don't have any additional options to, you know, make your shoulders bigger, make your legs wider, or things like that. You can just have these sliders. So we're gonna go somewhere in the middle here and hit E for accept. And enter for done. And once you're done, all you gotta do is just name your character. So MMOSWORLD is ours. And we are now in the world. Before we have to do that, they do have this cool photo system where you can just take a portrait of yourself, and what really happens is during the loading screens and everything, the picture of this character will pop up. So now that we have that, we can now move around. So one thing about Fallout 76 is it's pretty much standard in terms of all the other Fallout games. You move with WASD. You do have your Pip-Boy as well, which we will go and get later on. Before you leave the vault, though, there's plenty of things you can interact with. Like you can sit down and play the guitar if you want to, which will give you a boost to XP gains and everything. So let's go ahead and pick up the Pip-Boy, the famous Pip-Boy. This item here is how players in Fallout 76 will use to access their UIs. So your character data, your inventory, everything happens from the Pip-Boy. So, how to open it, all you gotta do is hit tab, and now this is your Pip-Boy. If you want to see this as your default UI to check all your quests under data, items, apparel, and all your other aids like your rataways and your steam packs all come under aids, and then your stats as well. If you don't like this view, at the bottom here you can just change your view and it will make it more realistic. So it's like now you see you're holding the actual Pip-Boy, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward until we get out of the vault and show you guys some gameplay and talk about Fallout 76 some more. Alrighty, here we are outside of the vault now. Vault 76. And now you can see all the quests have started popping up on the screen. This is where you start your journey in Appalachia, West Virginia. Here is the entire map of the Fallout 76 play area, and of course, if you have been following this game since its development, then you do know that this is an online only game. Now, the thing to note is that you can actually see who is around in the area. All these white dots are actually other players, and the thing about Fallout 76 is every other person in the game that you meet is a real player. There's NPC sort of, but they're all robots, so there's no human alive, because the story is the nukes have hit. This is 25 years after the nukes hit, so it's sort of like a prequel to the other Fallout games. And that has been getting a lot of backlash for Bethesda, really, because people wanted a proper continuation of the Fallout franchise and not a spin-off online game, which is exactly what this is. They've even mentioned that it is a spin-off. So what happens after leaving the vault is you can either go off and explore on your own or go do some questing. So to bring out your weapons, you just right click, and you can see I don't have anything equipped right now, so I've only got my fists. You hit V to change your view. This is your third person, or you can go back to first person view. Your Pip-Boy can also function as a Flashlight, all you gotta do is hold down the tap button and now you have a flashlight. So once you leave the vault, the first thing you want to do is hit right here. This dead body will have a gun. There you go. So you got some ammo here, psycho buff, which is sort of like a booster, and you have a pistol as well, and pre-war money. I am getting shot at. So that is a tiny robot down there. You can see the Liberator. Hit control to crouch. Now hit my eye and go to weapons. All you gotta do is hit the E or left click to equip the pistol. You can also hit the C button to make it a favorite, which means that later on when you go back to the gameplay screen, scrolling your mouse wheel, you can bring up a series of favorite weapons and other stuff that you have in here for quick access. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill that robot real quick. We'll show you what gunplay is. Here's a robot. Now you can either manually aim and shoot this thing, or you can use the in-game VAT system. And yes, killing items will drop stuff like this, which you can take, and you'll see that steel scraps there. That is actually really handy for building bases later on. Now another feature that Fallout 76 has is the VAT system. So you go up to an opponent, you hit the Q button, and this is like an auto aim feature that does the aiming for you. So all you gotta do is just shoot. And this is handy, especially if things are moving around. But do keep in mind that the VAT system uses your AP. Now, if you look at the bottom right side of my screen, my AP is actually going down because I've been using the VAT system. So if you want to auto aim, yeah, you can, but it's gonna take up AP. Just keep that in mind. Now again, I'm picking up all this stuff because later on, when you come across workbenches and crafting stations out in the world, you can break that down for material. What's all the material for? Material is going to be used for crafting armor, crafting weapons, crafting all your healing steam packs and other good stuff. And especially for building the camp, the base system that Fallout 76 uses. You can put bases anywhere in the world here, and then you can move them as well. That's really handy because players can then build defenses to keep out the mutant raids and robot raids and the Scorch raids. And the Scorch are a type of, oh well, I am out of ammo so I can no longer shoot this guy, so I'm moving forward here. And another thing that Fallout 76 has got for player progression is the special system. So I've killed a bunch of those Liberators down there for XP, right? So all I gotta do is hit the tab button again to bring up my Pip-Boy, and under stats you'll see that my level is down here. I'm just into level 2, and which also means that, oh, alright, here's another player. All you gotta do is hit that. The emote button simply lets you interact with other players without needing voice chat. And yes, that has been annoying because voice chat was one of the things that annoyed a lot of players in the beta because they don't have a push to talk button. Fallout 76. So you pretty much heard everybody in the vicinity, but they have gone and added a couple of other options as well, like team only and stuff like that. Now this dead body here has given me a melee weapon, so I'm going to equip that and favorite that as well, a machete, because this one will be really handy once you're out of ammo. And you just swing it like that and right mouse click to block. So all your weapons have durability as well, so they will break, keep that in mind. Now remember what I was saying about progression and specials? Well, since I'm level 2, that simply means that I can level up, and you'll see the T button here. Hitting that will bring up your special screen, and it is here that you get to play with a few things. So strength, for example, gives you bonuses to melee attacks, and also affects how much you can carry, because you do have an inventory stash with weight limits, so you can't go around the world picking up everything. But we're going to start off with strength. Now these stuff are the cards. You equip this stuff to basically boost various different things, from melee damage to your gun handling to what sort of defenses and armor you can craft. So since I already have a point in strength, I have now equipped it. Now you do see that these cards have stars as well, so if you pick multiple versions of the same card, you can then upgrade them to increase their tier, so they do more damage and things like that. So that's how progression sort of works. Now, like I said, the thing with Fallout 76 is a lot of people don't like the fact that it's online, because it just feels like a tacked on multiplayer addition to what the core Fallout game should be about, which is the sense of isolation and deep story. And this is not my first playthrough of Fallout 76, as you can probably tell. And the story so far has been pretty disappointing, because you know, it just feels empty and hollow and shallow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go straight to the Overseer's camp so we can talk more about, you know, setting up base camps and stuff like that. And across the way, anything that we come across, oh, that's a black cat. I've not seen that. I'm going to kill that because you can pick up cat meat and stuff like that. As for meat, look, because this is the wasteland, you do have thirst mechanics at the bottom right and hunger mechanics at the bottom right. These things degrade over time. So you're going to want to drink and eat food. So in my aid, you can see I have cat meat. The problem is if I cook it, if I don't cook it, the chances to get diseased and increase my radiation is going to be high. So food should be cooked at cooking stations before consuming, and same goes for water. You can pick up dirty water, toxic water, but you absolutely need to boil them first to minimize the amount of toxic that you consume. So here's an abandoned tower of some sort. You'll see all these items on the ground. Gas canister, I'll take that because I can break that down into oil or something like that. So this is what the cooking station looks like. So you'll find these stuff all over the world. Either the player has built them and you can access them, or they're just left behind by, you know, NPCs or whatever. And all your recipes that you've learned will be here. So for example, all food, cat meat steak. Since I killed the cat, it's right here. What do I need? Cat meat 1 and 1 wood. So I can now make a steak. And that is how cooking works. So that's how you craft food in the world. Same goes for water as well. Now, if you see these wood piles, don't just walk past them, pick them up. Like I said, very handy, but that's not the only way to get wood, obviously. You see logs like these are also wood, so you can just hit E to gather, and at the top left, you'll see that that has entered my inventory. Let's go ahead and move to the Overseer's camp. Alrighty, here we are. We've just discovered the Overseer's camp. Who is the Overseer? The Overseer is somebody that overseers the vault, basically. And since we are in Vault 76, the Overseer is sort of like the leader. And sort of the main premise here is to follow in the footsteps of the Overseer. Where did she go? What is she up to? And what's the unfolding narrative behind West Virginia and what's happened here in Appalachia? So that's sort of the main story. The thing is, and because it takes a while to get into that story, no, we're not going to be doing it on this video, but I can just tell you right now, it's not satisfying because you're pretty much following a lot of audio tapes, which could run up to like 1 minute to 2 minutes long. And because there's no sort of NPC or human interaction, it just comes across as like you're listening to a podcast, which is kind of disappointing considering the price that you're paying for this game. So what do we have here? First of all, you can pick up all the other mole meat. Here's a combat knife. And this is the camp that you put down to start building your base or whatever. So I talked about workbenches, right? So this is what they look like. So this is armor workbench, and I'm going to show you the handy thing, which is basically scrapping items. Remember those gas cans and all the other stuff that we picked up along the way? All you got to do is hit T, which is basically scrap all junk, and this is what you get out of that. Oil, plastic, cloth, steel, all this stuff will be very handy. My advice is to pick up as many trash as possible that you come across so that you can just deconstruct them. Done. And even for weapons, you can do the same thing, and doing that unlocks more recipes. So here's a plan for a metal bed. Plans are basically your recipes to build stuff in the world. So if you want to build better items and better defenses at your base, then you want to go and find more plans. So right now, metal bed is all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and learn that. I also picked up a ground mole rat meat food recipe along the way, so I'm going to go ahead and learn that as well. So that is pretty much how you learn how to do new things in the world. And yes, all this stuff, pick it up. That's a lot of good stuff in the first place that you come to, the Overseer's camp. This is the stash. This is where you insert or you bank in all your items. And the thing is, it does have a weight limit too, so you want to be careful about how much you put into that thing. This, however, is the Overseer's cache. This is what we're here for. So the good news is I have a bunch of cool things that I can pick up, like more ammunition, which is going to be great, and the log as well. And as you can hear in the background, the Overseer will sort of narrate the story experience for you. Ah, my water is going down. Let's go ahead and drink that bottle of wine that I picked up. There we go. Now, consuming different drinks obviously have different status, so alcohol, you do get some bonuses. So under effects, you can see that wine gives me max AP, but I lose intelligence, but I gain 1 strength. Liquid courage, right?
The workbenches, all built with the camp.
So while the overseer talks in the background, I'm unfortunately going to have to talk over her because I only have a certain amount of minutes to show you guys some gameplay here. But the quest now, under the mist, you can see that you can craft a piece of weapon or craft a piece of armor to progress that quest. So let's go ahead and see what we can craft here based on the materials that I've already picked up. Now, light armor is something I can do because I do have leather here. So I'm going to craft a chest piece simply because it's going to give me the most bang for buck in terms of damage resist. As you can see, it's 4 over there. So all you got to do is hit and click it again and hit space to make. Boom, so that is now done. Hit tab to exit, go into your apparels, and there it is, leather chest piece. Now armor is going to be important too because there's going to be a lot of powerful monsters and creatures that you will encounter out in the world here. And if you're playing solo, you can eventually take all of them down. It's just going to take you a lot of ammunition, a lot of armor, a lot of crafting. For guns, let's see if I can have a revolver. Well, I do have the pistol. I don't exactly need another pistol, but yeah, you know what? Because of damage, you can see the stats there, right? So this one is going to be really good. 40 damage. I'm going to take that right off the bat because this is going to come in handy for taking down the harder mobs I was talking about. Now the only thing is ammunition. Now there's another workbench called Tinker's Workbench, which lets you craft ammunition. It's not here yet, but you will eventually come across it in the open world. So let's go ahead and favorite that and equip that, and let's just see if I have ammo for it. Well, sorta, I guess. So that's basically it. Now we can find the Overseer in Flatwoods, which is basically a town to the south. And following your compass at the bottom of the screen, you can pretty much go to your objectives, do the things that you want to do, or venture off in your own direction and just have fun. So here's some toolbox. You'll come across all this stuff out in the world, like I said. Pick up everything because it's going to come in handy. So down the line, I do see an enemy there. That is a Mr. Farmhand, which is a rogue bot. Now, if you crouch, you will stay hidden. So it can't really see you until you get really close. Now, the benefit of crouching and sneaking up on an enemy here in Fallout 76 is that you will get a damage increase. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, unfortunately, I did not do a ton of damage. I'm not even hitting this guy. I'm just going to use my VAT system to take care of this thing for me. And now it is dead. But yeah, I did not get my sneak attack bonus, which is like a 20% damage, which will be very handy like in the early levels, especially when you come across enemies that... Oh, so here's an example of that. Here's some wild mongrels, which are level 3. I'm only level 2. So I'm going to have to bring out my machete here, which is going to do more damage because my perks in strength give me a 10% increase to melee attacks. These things are nice to kill simply because you will get a sufficient amount of meat from them, which is good for replenishing your hunger and health. So my HP at the bottom left has degraded somewhat, right? So let's go ahead and show you guys some food eating. The cat meat steak will give me 45 HP, as you can see, and agility increase as well, in addition to clearing up my food down there. So let's go ahead and eat that cat meat steak. Sorry, cat lovers, but yeah. Now the downside is I got red. So you do see that red line there in the bar? Yep, that's what happens when you eat meat or drink water in a wasteland like this. So I just picked up 3 caps there. Caps are the bottle caps from drinks like Nuka-Cola and things like that. Oh, unfortunately, the area is now clouded in radiation, and that's why everything has turned green. This usually lasts for maybe a minute or so, which means that you will see the rad meter go up a little bit. It'll increase, but don't worry too much about it because you will come across all the cool stuff like radaways and rad X diluted to help you mitigate that. So coming across empty towns like this is sort of the best thing for scavenging materials. Discovering new areas will also give you XP, so I just got 21 XP there, which is going to be great for helping me along my way. Oh, did I hear a mole rat? Yes, I did. Mole rats are annoying because they can just pop up right in front of you or behind you once they've already sensed you in the world. So I just saw one run. Oh, there it is. I missed that, a direct hit. It is now dead. They do have meat as well. You can pick them up. Right, empty areas like this. Let's see, coffee pot. That's going to give me tin. That's going to be chessboard for wood. You have to use your logic a little bit and figure out what materials you will get from breaking down everything you come across. So like a plastic cup is going to give you plastic, obviously. A glass bottle is going to give you glass. Let's see, a pencil is going to give you wood. So let's take that. Pre-war money for wood. Telephone, that's going to give you some springs. Plastic knife for plastic. So that's how you got to judge you know, what you need. So if you're running out of inventory space, which simply means your weight in your inventory, then you have to decide what materials do you need the most and use your logic to determine what you're going to get from all this junk. But in the early levels, just pick up everything that you come across. So screwdrivers and wrench, all these stuff will be important for crafting weapons later on. Okay, that is just an RP tape, which basically has a story on it. That's paper. What else we have in this area? Nothing. As for this dead guy, Survivor Story is simply recorded tapes that you can pick up and listen to. It's purely RP story. I mean, it is not engaging. I mean, a lot of people just ignore it from what I've seen playing with others. And let's go ahead and head into Flatwoods. So this is the town, and I hear Scorch nearby. Scorch are, you know, previously human beings that have been touched by this really creepy creature that is of a high level, which is somewhat an endgame boss. I consider it to be an endgame boss, and that thing has turned all humans into the Scorched. So this is now the town of Flatwoods, and inside there is my objective. And I know I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the camp system. If you want to set up a camp, all you got to do is hit the tab button and hit the Z button, and this will bring up the camp. Now, I can't put it in town because town already serves as like a safe hub. So you don't need a camp in town because that's sort of cheating anyway, because you have access to a lot of the materials and everything. But you can set up your camp outside of town. Let me just get out of Flatwoods real quick. As soon as the camp thing turns green, then it's a good spot. Alright, this is a good spot. So here we have an opening between the trees, so all I gotta do is hit enter to accept. Oh, what was that? A mole rat. Right, anyway. Here is now my camp. So now that I have a camp in the open world, I can either transfer my items. So for example, if I want to store my junk, I hit the T button, and now all my junk goes into the camp. So that has reduced my carry weight somewhat. So this is pretty handy. The build feature though is what this is all about. This is where you get to build, play around with the housing system, base building in Fallout 76. So you hit the Z and C to move between what you can build. So floors, you will need foundations if you want to build high walls and fences. These are walls, they need to snap to foundations, so just keep that in mind. And roofs as well, these are all snappable. You can do stairs, doors, and my favorite, crafting. So if you have the materials from all that picking up of stuff like I told you to do, then you can immediately craft your own cooking station. And later on, once you find the blueprints, once you find the plans, you can then do the armor workbench, the weapons, tinkers, chem, and power armor, which is an endgame thing. Gives you the best sort of defense and stats. Power armors, I'm sure you've seen it before, a metallic, you know, heavy armored, awesome looking thing. So that is an endgame progression. That's like the final goal for a lot of endgame players here. You can do turrets as well, and turrets really are for base defenses, because the one thing you need to keep a note of is that when you put down a base, every time you log off and log back in, you will get attacked all the time by anything from mole rats to those dogs to mutants and Scorch. So having defenses is an absolute must, or they are going to destroy you. Oh my goodness, here are the mutts. So let me get out of my build mode and start killing these guys because my health is going down. Yeah. So in a close quarter situation, you can hit your left alt as well to do some melee damage. but it's not gonna do a lot of damage, especially if it's just a pistol. So it's back to the machete for me. Now, because my health is so low, you will see that I have the injured icon there, and that's gonna stay there until I use a steam pack. So there it is, a steam pack. That's gonna give me quite some health, so I'm back up there now. I'm pretty safe. So that's basically the build feature. It's pretty fun if you like base building, and of course the most handy thing is that you can move it. Hitting the tab button again, you'll see that you can move the camp, but it's going to cost you caps. So what's the benefit of doing that? If you're out hunting a quest somewhere up here, for example, and then there's no nearest area, then yeah, just place your camp there. But you can quick travel as well, so I can go back to Vault 76 for free, I can go back to my camp for free, and I can go back to locations that I've discovered for a cost. So Overseer's Camp, clicking on it, it's going to cost 1 cap. You can also travel to quick events, and dynamic events is just events that happen out here in the world where, you know, other players work together to take down an objective or monsters for XP. That's pretty handy so far. And the max level cap, oh gosh, I don't know. I've seen players at level 50 plus, so it can go up pretty high. So that's really it for Fallout 76, and that's all the time I have to show off in terms of your First Steps gameplay. So I suppose I'll kind of wrap up with my thoughts here. Look, Fallout 76, you know, I've been having some fun with it, even though a lot of people seem to be having fun bashing the game. There are reasons to bash it though. Like for me, the most disappointing thing is obviously the lack of substantial story content or content that you would expect from a Fallout 4 game. Sorry, from a Fallout game. The multiplayer aspect works because you get to play with friends now, and hunting enemies and growing together. There's a real sense of rewarding progression that you get from increasing your levels and being able to craft better weapons and gear from the crap that you started with. That part's fun. As for the multiplayer, like a lot of people didn't like the fact that people can be bandits and kill each other and grief each other. I gotta tell you, I'm 80 plus hours in now. It hasn't happened to me. Like, people here seem to be Fallout. See these guys waving to me instead of kicking my ass. So I'm gonna wave back. And that's sort of how it works. People here on Fallout 76 are here to play a Fallout game. They're not here to play multiplayer battle royale style game, because there's other games that does that better. So that's the sort of community that I get from Fallout 76. People that play this game or are on it want to be on it, and that's a cool thing. So the other thing to note is that the PvP, you have to be level 5 to kill somebody, or, you know, be killed by somebody, and all that griefing stuff happen at level 5 onward. So if you're new to the game, below level 5, nothing's going to happen to you. But like I said, that griefing doesn't really happen here so far. The other thing to note is that, oh man, the price is expensive for what the game offers, because if I wanted a solo single player survival game or a proper multiplayer battle royale open world survival game or that sort of thing, there are other games out there for half the price that offers arguably more fun without the Fallout skin, which is basically what's costing this game so much, because it's a Bethesda game, it's a AAA, even if it is a spin-off. So the pros and cons there. Other cons for me, the story, I would have loved to see some better story instead of just voiced over dialogues and audio tapes, which just come across as really lazy. Other than that, the gameplay's pretty functionary. Nothing really stands out from like Fallout 4 before it, you know. The base building's cool, the gunplay's decent, but the sense of progression in a Fallout world playing with friends is what really shines. But again, not worth the $60. I think it should be lower than that. So if you're thinking about buying this, buy it on a sale. And that's all the time I've got for, guys. I'm out of here. So hit the like button and subscribe to MMOSWORLD for more videos. As ever, I'm Adrian from MMOSWORLD, signing out.